Well, good evening everybody and welcome to the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel for what feels like a bit of a return. It is the return indeed of the Legends of Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship for round number 9 of our season, and what a circuit to be at for the return after the summer break. Similar to Formula 1 this weekend, it is the classic Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. My name is Andrew Mather. Alongside me in the virtual comms box, as ever, is a chap who's been pretty busy the last few weeks, but we're glad to have him on board for the commentary tonight. It is Mr. Howard Mitchell. Evening, Howard.
Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I think you're being quite kind there, mate. It was a lot of busyness followed by doing absolutely nothing for a week. It was fantastic. Yes. Such is the honeymoon life. But no, good to be back with you in a comms situation, sir, and good to be back, as you say, with our Legends of Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. It does feel like we've come back off of our summer break, haven't we?
Yeah.
Here, and we've done so with a bit of a classic circuit to do that with, actually, haven't we? To be here at Spa. Round 9 of the championship, round 4 of our little GT Legends mini-series, for those who are keeping track of that. And yeah, good to be here at one of the classics.
Absolutely. So this circuit's one that we saw last year in the first edition of this championship, but that was with the Mazda MX-5s, producing very exciting racing. We are here with the GTs tonight, the Ferrari 488 GT3, the penultimate time we'll see this car this season. And it means it's going to be a very, very key night, I feel, Howard, for championship permutations, GT Legends scoring as well. So let's have a look at those points if we can and see what the championship standings are looking like ahead of round number 9. Steve Hicks is your championship leader on 757 points. Ben Bennyworth currently second on 713. Michael J. Preston, one of the favourites. This is also a stage of the season where some drivers have done more races than others, but drop scores will start coming into effect. He's there on 672. Chris Hansen currently leading in Class 2 and ever present on 647, 2 points ahead of Matt Hale in 5th. Tom Edwards is 6th on 634. Tom Banks on 628. Matt Horgan, third of those in Class 2 at the moment for the less experienced drivers on iRacing on 628. Craig Brown 9th on 613. Alexandre Loro wrapping out the top 10. Then we're getting into drivers who haven't been with us for every single race so far, or every round so far this year, but definitely have a chance still as we go into the latter part of the season. Ed Keithley is there on 597. Josh Ladd, who I hear is not going to be able to do every single round, so he's very much going to be counting on every single appearance to get him up that leaderboard. But has definitely been one of our fastest drivers so far this year. He's there in 12th in points at the moment on 585. Andrew Dawson, James Fremont, David Whitehouse wrapping out the top 15. Murray Adams in 16th there on 529 in a close battle with Alan Curtis. Tom Dix in 18th. Looking a little bit further down the order, we've got those just outside the top 20 there. George Palozzi wrapping out the top 20 at the moment for the Southampton BUKC driver. Chris Powell 21st. Kirith Kalirina, there's a lot of support for Kirith in the chat again tonight. In 22nd place, Adam Mertens 23rd. Anwar Barul Smith, who unfortunately had to withdraw earlier in the season, but was very, very strong in the first few rounds. He's still there in 24th in the points. JJ Aston's 25th, then Simon Young, Jack Jensen, Mike Hart, Josh Wong and Josh Wellard are your top 30 drivers. And just running further down the order, James Waller, who I've seen in the chat, can't make it tonight, but is watching all the action. And the rest of the points there running down towards those who've made a couple of appearances through the course of the season. Very aware, Howard, that qualifying is about to begin, but what are your thoughts ahead of this evening's racing? What do you think we've got in store for us?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how isn't it, how the drivers deal with the longer format of race again. It's been a little while since we've had that, and we're going to have. We've had action, haven't we, in this championship before at Spa? But with the longer format of race, of course, does that mean everyone calms down? Does it mean we still go full Spa? It's quite an unknown in that sense. Having said that, mate, everyone's driven Spa on a sim.
Yeah.
Multiple times, across multiple cars, across all different sorts of sim. It is one of those circuits where everyone's going to be quite experienced. So I think the general calibre of driving tonight is probably going to be quite high.
Yeah, it's a wide open flowing circuit. The format, for those who maybe haven't watched this form of racing or this part of the championship before, 2 40-minute races tonight for our drivers. No drop races or anything like that. So if you're supporting a particular driver, don't worry, they'll be out in every single session that we watch here tonight. And each race will have a mandatory green flag pit stop. So you may see some drivers come in after any contact at the start, especially if there's a safety car coming out onto circuit, which is a possibility round here at Spa. That will not count for the mandatory pit stop. They've got to do it under green flag running. Qualifying is underway. Apologies, my Streamlabs commands aren't working tonight, so we're just going to pop in chat there the link to the live timing page over on the Double Dash Motorsport Media website. So on there you'll be able to track all of the goings on, have it on a separate screen. And just to run through the drivers that we've got here tonight: Chris Hansen, as we mentioned, James Fremont, Ed Keithley, Michael Preston, Tom Edwards, Alan Curtis, Matt Hale, Ben Benningworth, Tom Dix, Steve Hicks, Craig Brown, Mike Hart, JJ Aston, Christopher Powell, Adrian Mertens, Josh Ladd, Jack Jensen, Kirith Kalirai and David Whitehouse. That is your lineup for this evening. So a good mix of Class 1s and Class 2s. A little bit of housekeeping as we come back off the summer break, when you see the live timing tower in a moment. Apologies, we've had a little bit of an SDK glitch at present time. We will see red number boards on the timing tower. They indicate drivers in Class 1. That's for the more experienced drivers. Blue for Class 2 for less experienced drivers. Of course, across the course of the season, we've seen that that's not necessarily meant a straight split on pace. Some of our Class 2 drivers have taken to iRacing this season very, very well. They're putting in some really, really good results. Mike Hart out on circuit at the moment then. A driver who's raced in GT machinery round this circuit. Raced in the British GT Championship visit to Spa a few years ago in an Aston Martin GT4. Let's see how he can do here in qualifying in the Ferrari GT3. Very popular car, this on iRacing. It's a car that many have as one of their first purchases within iRacing. It's got the Class D fixed setup races, and we suspect you're going to see a lot of this car on the channel over the next few weeks. As we've come out of the summer break for iRacing, so it's been a very busy summer with full metal commentaries and various other things as well. But this car, hoping to have a few more runs in the VRS series over the coming weeks, all building towards a DDMM effort to do Petit Le Mans later in the autumn. Mike coming into the bus stop chicane now, which has had many configurations over the years, flowing out onto the short pit straight here. This is the Grand Prix pit straight. Over to start a lap. Got some times coming in already. Of course, this qualifying style, everyone is effectively out on track by themselves. So they're all doing it at the same time, but they're not seeing each other. There's no traffic. It means that everyone gets a good opportunity to get a lap in. I can tell you that Tom Dix has gone fastest at the moment on 2:18.29. That was just beaten though by Josh Ladd, 2 minutes 17.27. But here comes Michael Preston in 2 minutes 17.03. All these live times coming through on the live timing page, link in the chat. And that is a very good start for Michael Preston to the top of the timesheets. We'll keep an eye on Mike Hart as he goes round and see what kind of lap time he can put in. On board with Steve Hicks now, going through Eau Rouge and up through Radion. What a sequence of corners that is. That looked pretty good from Hicks. making sure he didn't cross the lines there. It's very easy to pick up a track limits 1x warning round here at Spa into the chicane. Steve Hicks clearly just trying to get a clean lap here. 2 opportunities, 2 flying laps for all of our drivers, but like many iRacing championships, it's not just about doing a fast lap, it's about doing a clean lap. Any off tracks or excursions mean that it doesn't matter how quick your lap time or slow your lap time is, it will be deleted. So drivers generally try and get a banker lap in on the first lap and then go full guns for the second one. Good evening to Loopy, who's tuned in. It's looking like a clean and tidy lap at the moment from Steve Hicks.
We had a few laps as well, Andrew, here that have been deleted with the odd 1x or so. Because we've got some drivers here who are...
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep. Mike Hart, who we were watching, who now goes up to 4th place, so now does get a lap in that's legitimate, obviously coming in off the back of a class win at the last round, we should say. As Steve Hicks here coming into the final bus stop chicane, where is this going to place? Laps looked fairly clean so far from what I've seen.
Has been indeed. Over start finish goes the driver in the number 21. Where does Hicks slot in? He goes on to row 2, onto 4th on the grid. Just 7/100ths quicker than Mike Hart. The only driver not to register a valid lap time at the moment looks to be Alan Curtis. Here's Josh Ladd. He's looking in fine form again, Howard, already on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you say, Andrew, not able to do every single round of this championship. And bear in mind that he didn't take part in round 1, so he's already burnt through one of the drop scores in that sense. So, as you say, it is really going to count tonight and every time we see him for the remainder of this season. But yeah, very accomplished driver in iRacing. And it's going to be interesting to see here, can he top Michael Preston's time at the moment to try and take the pole, get his evening off to a good start.
So the first race will be set by the simple way, the qualifying results that will form up at the end of this session. So at the moment, and I think Josh Ladd has just had an off track there. Just saw the warning flash up on our timing screen. So Michael Preston is looking pretty good here for pole position, because it doesn't matter now what Josh Ladd does as we pass the go-kart circuit that Club 100 itself has frequented over the years. Josh Ladd's time here will not count, Howard, because of that off track. Yeah,
absolutely. Still obviously with the second fastest time at the moment, so he's going to be all right on the grid. Who else is going fast out there? Tom Edwards, I think he's on a good lap at the moment. See if he can improve from 3rd place. For the moment though, Josh Ladd crosses the line, and as you say, that one is not going to count. Just looking out for who else is out there in these last few seconds. Here is Tom Edwards coming through the final sector of the lap at the moment. Down towards the final bus stop chicane. No, that's time up on that. He's not going to complete that lap if it was, but it was looking fairly good. But we're going to move on to gridding up for heat number 1, Andrew.
We are indeed. So the grid's going to look like this on this rolling start here at Spa. Michael Preston will have pole position for the first race of the evening. Josh Ladd alongside him on the front row. They had some great races earlier in the season. I'm thinking back to Barcelona earlier in the year, where they put on some some great displays and great tactics as well across the course of the first race. Will they do the same here? Tom Edwards, a strong qualifying from Tom Edwards on the second row of the grid. Steve Hicks next up, also on that row. Mike Hart and Tom Dix will be row 3. Ed Keithley and Craig Brown row 4. That's all the Class 1 runners before we find our first Class 2 runner, the 001 or Chris Hansen on row 5. Alongside him on that 5th row of the grid is JJ Aston. Row 6 will be Jack Jensen and Christopher Powell. Ben Bennyworth and James Fremont are on row 7. David Whitehouse and Adrian Mertens on row 8. Kirith Calliryan, Matt Hale on row 9. Alan Curtis forms up the 19 runners in the first race here this evening at Spa.
Getting ready here then for our rolling start.
Just looking at that top 6 again, especially Howard. I think these are all drivers who we know have taken race victories so far this season. How do you think each of them will tackle, especially the early stages of this first race?
Well, it's going to be it is going to be a question of survival. Although one would hope, as I say, given the longer nature of these races, you know, we do that 3-race format. One would hope that we can have we always look for a clean start, but one hopes that there's just a little bit more, you know, you can't win it on the first corner, a bit more of that sensible kind of approach, if you like. And after that, I think it's going to be a case of settling into the rhythm. When everybody pits, of course, is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be some of the stuff that we talk about when talking about longer race formats in karting in Club 100. You know, how are you feeling for track position? Is now the right time to pit in that sense? But Michael Preston has decided it's time to drop the hammer towards the lights on this one, Andrew.
Yeah, it's gone really, really early. Great tactics from Michael Preston there. They're already into single file. I think that caught Josh Ladd out a little bit. But here we go into La Source for the first time here at Spa this evening. Michael Preston leads in the Demon Tweaks TSM machine. Then the Yas Heat car of Josh Ladd in second place. Tom Edwards has had a good start as well in third. And down into Eau Rouge they go for the first time, Howard.
Yeah, absolutely. Up the hill was a brilliant stuff. It caught me off guard, did Michael's start. So it's definitely caught everybody else off as they come here along the straight, although Josh Ladd has been able to pull it back in this sector, hasn't he? And Preston feels the need to just go slightly defensive there as they go through Lecombe.
Did indeed.
The right-hander.
Well, he's wearing a Sebastian Vettel replica helmet, you can see inside his car today. That was almost a roles reverse to what Sebastian Vettel was able to do to Lewis Hamilton in the Grand Prix a few years ago. But it's been a steady start at the front here. I'm just looking further back down the order, Howard. I think Ben Bennyworth may be the only driver who's had a problem so far because he's down the back of the field. But apart from that, everybody...
JJ Aston, Andrew, has had a bit of an issue there. He has gone significantly far down the field, and you can see there's damage there on Mike Hart's car in the background as well. He's taking on a prototype cooling solution there for his Ferrari 488 GT3. Yeah,
he is indeed. I hope he's not got any radiator damage though. In fact, yeah, I think that front bumper, that front splitter looks a bit familiar to one we had at Bathurst, Howard, and we all know how that ended, as off there is Adrian Mertens. So Adrian Mertens in the 26. Where is that? Is that down at the Brussels Hairpin? No, it's in the Fania chicane. So Adrian Mertens has fallen by the wayside there. There's Alan Curtis. Looks like he's maybe had a problem in the D&D wildcard Ferrari as well in the early stages of this one.
Yeah, an issue for Ben Bennyworth as well, as I think we've mentioned.
Yeah, looks like he may have cut to the pits.
But here is Josh Ladd hounding Preston at the front. And you've got just this little breakaway group now of Michael Preston, Josh Ladd, Tom Edwards, and then Steve Hicks on the back of this one. Chris Hansen, currently your highest placed of the Class 2 runners. Oh, is pushing the very limits there. Up through Radion were pretty much all of the top 4. Look at it straight over to the driver's right as well, heading towards Lecombe. Huge defence here from Michael Preston in the early phases of this one, but Josh Ladd is going to try and go round the outside, and you know what, he's going to have the inside for the left hand. That was a beautifully executed move there by Josh Ladd, and takes himself up into the lead of the race.
That was a brilliant move from Josh Ladd, one of the best ones he's put in so far this season, and there's been some spectacular overtakes from the Cardiff University driver so far in 2021. Michael Preston tried to defend, but big on the brakes there was Josh Ladd, and he leads here at Spa.
Yeah, beautifully done, wasn't it? Beautifully judged. And one feels like there wasn't much more that Michael could do about that one, to be honest. He played it fair.
On board now with Steve Hicks in 4th place. That's Tom Edwards running a new livery just ahead of us in 3rd. We've seen Hicks do this a couple of times so far this season, Howard. We saw a lot of it the last time we had the Ferraris out in Montreal. He likes to just sit in this position, let the race come to him, and pick up any issues for this top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Showing his experience as he does so. Just dropped a little bit off the back of Tom Edwards in this last model lap, but if anything, that's because Tom Edwards is all over the bumper of Michael Preston ahead, but holds station for now. Coming in. Yeah, sorry, go on, mate.
Yeah, sorry, looking a bit further back, here's Jack Jensen. He's having a good race so far. He's in 7th place, trying to get past, I think that's Ed Keithley there in the Lancia Stratos colours, but on a Ferrari. It sort of works, they're all within the Fiat family.
And he had a really good run out of the final chicane there, Andrew. I really thought he was going to have a run into the source, but the second phase of that straight didn't quite go the way of Jack Jensen.
Can get a good line though through Eau Rouge and Radion. He could have a go down the Kemmel Straight. We saw Josh Ladd do this one lap ago for the lead of the race. On board now with Jack Jensen. Keithley will go defensive to driver's right. Has Jack Jensen got the ponies? All of these cars on a fixed setup, not the exact same fixed setup that you'd get in the Class D races, but everyone running to the same parameters. Makes it fair, makes it all about the driver. That was well defended from Keithley. Holds on to 6th place.
Yeah, and he's confident on the brakes as well, is Keithley at the moment. So, yeah, be one to watch. Here's our top 4 again, as they were, following that brilliant pass by Josh Ladd a couple of laps ago.
Bit of Class 2 action to note, Howard. Chris Hansen, again, we've seen him do this many times so far this season, has had a good opening to this race. He's up to 5th place. But biggest mover at the moment in the whole field is your 3rd place driver in Class 2, now up to 10th overall, Kirith Kalirai. Kirith having a fantastic run here. And had some issues in qualifying. There you see the Team Rock colours. Great to see them. Finally, Trading Paints has done its job. It's pulled up the wonderful livery that Kirith runs with. I'm sure the Discord will be very happy about that there, man. The 999 is into the top 10.
Absolutely. Good little pack running in the background behind him as well. Here is, pick him up just as he's definitely running wide, but James Fremont with JJ Aston, recovering JJ Aston in some ways, and Matt Hale ahead of him. They're not too far apart in this pack, so this could be one to watch. In fact, here, yeah, Matt Hale with much closer attention to JJ Aston. Fremont's just dropped a little bit off the back of them this lap, but Aston will be looking to try and make some positions back up after a bit of a rocky start to this one. It was down at Bruxelles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he was wide.
Yeah, it was indeed. Matt Hale has been having some training from Michael Preston. That's joined Michael Preston and the others back at the front of the field. Still Ladd from Preston, Edwards and Hicks, top 4. Good evening to Nathan Maximum, by the way, in the chat. and very much looking forward to another return of some esports racing here on the DDMM YouTube channel. The next season, the autumn 2021 season of the Club 100 Gran Turismo Sport Championship, starts in earnest in a few weeks' time. So if that sounds like something you're interested in and is up your alley, do make sure you've subscribed to the channel and click that notification bell to be notified whenever we go live. Longer season as well, 6 events for this upcoming season, every 2 weeks as well. So it'll be nice and spread out for you up towards the latter part of 2021. Meanwhile, though, here in the iRacing Championship, race 1 of the evening, 8 minutes of it gone, Howard, and the front 4 seemingly working together at the moment. Nobody's gone for an early pit stop and a shake-up of the strategy.
No, nothing too surprising on that front so far, but it is still nonetheless going to be interesting to see who breaks first. We have seen, of course, at some points throughout this championship, some very interesting strategies from people to try and, they'll pit early and then try and set some hot laps, get that undercut to try and make up some positions. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of our top 4 do. That's going to be interesting to see whoever does that, to be honest, because there are some good battles throughout this field. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. No one pits for now. We cut back to Keithley Calirai, who has come under pressure from Craig Brown here. This is in the battle over 10th place. And Craig Brown is going to try down the inside into the bus stop, and he's going to make that one stick. Keithley will get a good run out the corner potentially, but I think that is job done, and a nice move done there, Andrew, by Craig Brown.
Yeah, that was really good to see from Craig. He's had a bit of bad luck over the last few races, but that was a clean move down the inside of Calirai. Calirai played it well as well, though. Didn't turn in. Recognised that Brown's a little bit quicker at this stage of the race, and there's an opportunity for the 999 to just sit in the slipstream now and be pulled along back towards, who is it we've got up ahead in 9th place? It's Christopher Powell at the moment, so 2nd place in Class 2. That's what Calirai will be trying to do now for the next couple of laps. Good evening to Callum Brawl, regular viewer here on the DDMM channel. Evening, gents. Brands Hatch Bonanza on GT Sport next Tuesday is going to be ace. Absolutely. As down the inside, here's Tom Dix. This looks to be a recovering Tom Dix, Howard, because the Jägermeister car was up in the top 5. We had Jägermeister's 4th and 5th earlier in this race. So Tom Dix starting to get back up the field. That's him into 7th.
Yeah, and a good little move there as well on Jack Jensen. Down into Bruxelles there. Don't see too many passes under braking into that, to be fair. So decent move to pull off there. And next will be Ed Keithley, if he can get onto terms with him. Just a second up the road, as you can see in the Stratos livery.
Clearly pushing hard, though. I am keeping an eye on the live timing page, and we get a little red flash whenever there's an off track for any of the drivers, and they can pick up penalties if they pick up too many of them. But let's just say I don't think anyone's going to be getting the extra championship points for getting through a race with 0x on your scorecard in this one. A lot of the drivers. I mean, it is a tactical side of iRacing, the incident point system.
Yes, indeed.
You know, it's sometimes used a little bit as a get-out-of-jail-free card, and I'm not going to say that I'm, completely innocent in talking about that. I think we've all done it. We've just got a little bit of a 1x, gained ourselves a couple of tenths when we're in a key battle. But very much round here, it is a thing to keep an eye on. That Spa, looking back from Josh Ladd's rear bumper, this fantastic camera looking at Michael Preston there in 2nd place. Tom Edwards and Steve Hicks still holding on well. Fastest lap of the race at the moment has just been set by Michael Preston. 2 minutes 17.33. Definitely keeping Ladd honest, Howard.
Yes, very much so, isn't it? I don't know if it's this camera, but he really does seem to, you know, he hasn't... I mean, he has settled into a rhythm, but he's not, you know, just keeping his powder dry for now, is he? It definitely feels to me like if the opportunity presents itself, he's going to go for it. But you've got to wonder if he's thinking about, when am I going to pit? Because I would have thought you'd want to try and pit before Josh Ladd. It's not as clear cut as when you see the undercut in Formula 1, is it? It's possible that you could stay out and keep some pace good, but one would have thought that whoever pits first is going to have a bit of an advantage, as Josh Ladd does indeed go just a little bit wide there as they start to head back down the hill.
Through Blanchimont they go then. Just looking a little bit way down the order, I think Mike Hart is starting to recover. It's his pace like 2:18.75 last time around, and that is quicker than the drivers ahead, so it's not completely over for Mike. He's in 14th place at the moment as we go on board, Howard, with JJ Aston fighting for 12th place with Matt Hale just ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice and tight battle this one over 12th place. JJ Aston and other drivers on a little bit of a recovery. Are we going to have an overtaking opportunity into the bus stop chicane? It certainly feels like the opportunity's on, but Matt Hale's defending well here as they go under heavy braking. JJ Aston will try and maximise the exit and set up an opportunity into the source, but that was good positioning there by Matt Hale to just deter the move into the bus stop, braking into the source, and then heading downhill they will be towards the iconic Eau Rouge and up the hill to Roudion to the Kemmel Straight.
Matt Hale's rear axle, Howard, looking a little bit squirrely through the bus stop. That's the second time I've noticed that, but he seems quite happy with the balance of the car so far this evening. Willing to push it, although that was a really good run for Aston out of Roudion onto the Kemmel Straight. Surely this time he's going to have a great run at Matt Hale, but Matt Hale's going to hold the defensive line. JJ Aston will have to do the Josh Ladd move round the outside into Lake Holm. There's contact between the two of them and they both spin. Half spin, both recover, but that's not good news for either JJ Aston or Matt Hale.
No, and if you wanted a demonstration of why that Josh Ladd move, and to be fair, the role that Michael Preston had to play in that move as well in terms of giving racing room, and if you wanted it underlined for you how difficult and impressive that move was, I think it was there and then, mate.
Yeah.
You know, not to take away from Aston or Hale there. They're both, you know, they've both shown some really good moments in this series, but it just goes to show how tight it can get when you try and do that move. I really thought that was on for JJ then. He positioned his car well, but was there a little bit too much of a squeeze on the inside? Was Matt Hale just going a bit confident, trying to defend and sort of, you know, not retarding the speed of the car enough on the inside? A bit of both. It's so easily done. It's so easily done. But thankfully they both seem to be, you know, not too severe on the damage. They do both appear to be running up to pace again, but we'll have to see how they do. The next person down the road behind these two is Mike Hart.
Yeah, and Mike's still going pretty quickly in the 2:19s and the 2:18s at the moment. I think he has been into the pits. I think he's had a bit of pit time.
Yeah, I think whilst we were watching that, yeah, there's been some pit activity, hasn't there? As Matt Hale is choosing to come in now. So fresh off of that little ruckus up at the Lake Holm section.
David Whitehouse, I think, has been in the pit lane, Howard, for his green flag pit stop, one of the first to do so, and James Fremont. Matt just trying to find where his pit man is, which is not the easiest thing to do. Should be okay now. And in fact, I think he's missed him. I think he's done a mather. I think he's done a mather here. He may have. Well, he's either given himself a drive-through penalty for the contact with JJ Aston, or he's come in and he's done the mather trick of missing his pit man. Oh dear.
Matt Hale is a thoroughly noble person to race against, but I think even by his lofty standards, giving himself a drive-through penalty is a bit much to believe. So yeah, that's an interesting one for me. So yeah, who has pitted? So Mike Hart has pitted, as you say, Andrew. James Fremont has chosen to pit, so he could be that could be one to watch because he was running not too far behind some of those drivers knocking on the door of the top 10. So it could be interesting to see how that goes for him. And David Whitehouse, as you say, mate, has also been into the pits. Do any of our top 4 choose to go for it? There's been a bit of spreading out now amongst the top 4. You can see Steve Hicks just flashed through that flash of orange of the Jägermeister livery in the background. He's dropped off just a little bit off the back of these 3. Still very much in shot there as we look down the start finish straight, but it's still Michael Preston applying the lion's share of the pressure here on our race leader Josh Ladd, and indeed takes a very different line out of La Source. How's that going to work for him through Eau Rouge and up to the Kemmel Straight?
I'm going to request for you to do something here, Howard, that we could only ever do in sim race. If we could get a shot of Steve Hicks, I hear he's going to have a mid-race livery change in a few seconds' time.
Okay.
To something that's very, very, very pleasing. In fact, we're going to ignore that because Michael Preston is having an attack here on Josh Ladd. It's roles reversed, definitely, from the very start of the race. Preston now trying to go around the outside of Josh Ladd. Keep his nose in for the left-hander of Lecombe, but that's brilliant defence from Josh Ladd. Holds round the outside and retains the lead.
That was absolutely brilliant stuff. And again, Andrew, the racing room and awareness, the awareness around the car is brilliant from these 2 so far this evening. Very, very impressed with that. You'll have to tell me, we're both running our own instance of trading paints, aren't we? So you're going to have to tell me if Steve Hicks changes for you. I might beat you, I might be behind, who knows. Some pit callers. Matt Hale is back in the pits, and this time is...
Apologies, folks. I think we've accidentally... There we go. We've got Howard back now. You're saying Matt Hale in the pits?
Yes, indeed, mate. Apologies. So he didn't miss his markers this time. Pretty much drove down the right-hand side of the pit lane in many ways. Ed Keithley as well here has also been in the pits. That happened whilst we were focusing on the battle between Preston and Ladd at the front. Who else do we need to look out for? Who else is close out there? This is a good little battle that's coming to fruition here. Alan Curtis versus James Fremont. They're out of sync on pit strategy, but that sometimes isn't what's important. As Tom Edwards, Andrew, is coming into the pits now from 3rd place.
Yeah, first of our big hitters, first the leaders coming into pit lane. There's Tom Dix just going by. He will inherit 5th place. Pace car sat there, hopefully what will not be needed for the rest of this race, as the field is fairly spread out now. So let's see where Tom Edwards comes out here. Has he been able to find a little
damage
bit? Yes, I think there is a bit of damage on that car. Craig Brown is in the pits as well. There he is in the background in the AF Corsa livery. Away goes Edwards, don't worry, that's perfectly fine. That he's driven through the pace car. That won't have caused him any damage.
Fortunately.
This promotes Kirith Kalirai back into the top 10. Kalirai now running in 8th position. So Edwards has come out in 9th place there, Howard. Thankfully for him though, he's in clean air. Oh, big battle here in Class 2. Powell versus Kalirai. This is over 2nd place in Class 2. .22 minutes of the race gone. It will, yeah, I think we'll run to time, not number of laps.
Looking back then at Kalirai from on board with Chris Powell. Big battle, as you say, Andrew, in Class 2. And yeah, you can tell even from this rear camera that Powell feeling the need to just go a little bit defensive in his line, bit of mid-track driving just to dissuade any banzai moves from Kirith. Neither of these two have pitted yet, as far as I'm aware, so that's that could be interesting. Might we get a battle in the pit lane?
May do indeed. I'm just reminding myself, Kelly Ryan definitely a factor in the points for Class 2 so far this year. He's been in the top 3 at the end of a number of rounds in Class 2 so far. Can he have a run here into the bus stop? It's so hard to follow through Blanchimont when you're tucked under the rear diffuser of a car in front. He's a little bit too far back here. Now, will one of these drivers come into the pit lane? If I'm Kelly Ryan at the moment, I'm thinking about that pit stop. Not now. Oh, I see. That was a really difficult one to read. And he's pitted on the same lap as Powell, so it's going to be down to the pit crews. It's going to be down to see if there's any required repairs on either of these cars. And it looks like, is that Jack Jensen in the pit lane as well ahead of us?
Yes, it is indeed. Craig Brown also in the pit lane, which is his second stop. So I don't know if there's some significant damage that Craig's had, but Craig Brown is in.
Yeah, I
Here
just
they all
wonder,
are.
I'm going to put a theory to you here. This is just a
Ooh.
theory. This is not confirmed. This is the race off the slow lane. Has Brown changed tyres and had a spin on cold rubber? You don't have to change tyres. It can be so easily done. You know, you just don't have one tick box done correctly. You go out, you think you're on warm rubber, and around you go. It's very, very easy to do. I did it myself in the Dallara F3 at Imola a few nights ago. I was resoundingly not pleased with myself. Back with the leaders though. Josh Ladd still at the front of this field. Michael Preston second. Steve Hicks scored in third place.
Who has changed, at least at my end.
He has changed. I think no, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not changed at my end. Oh well. In his world, he's running a very nice homage to Damon Hill's 1998 Spa victory, which.
Oh, nice.
You know, those of you who know me well will know that that's a very, very poignant and special race for me. But never mind, the leaders are in the pits for the first time this evening, so they are going head-to-head for the course of this race. And Hicks is in as well, so all top 4, because Chris Hansen, I think, has just come into pit lane as well, are all stopping here at the end of lap 12, and Craig Brown is still in the pits. I wonder, Howard, is he having connection issues again? We've seen it a couple of times so far this year. Oh, Josh Ladd went too long. Josh Ladd went too long there in his box. This could be crucial. Had to reverse a little bit. So there's going to be the race off pit lane. There's Tom Edwards, who stopped a couple of laps ago. Has he made the early... And yes, there has been a change in the pits. Michael Preston, with that mistake from Josh Ladd, missing his marks. Michael Preston, Howard, has been able to jump him in pit lane. Very good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Key moment in the race then. And you know what? I know they're on a straight going through a rouge right now, but that is... we've seen how honest that Michael Preston has been keeping Josh Ladd throughout the race. It's going to be interesting to see how Ladd, if he can at all, will set up the overtake opportunity to try and get that back. He's too far back at the moment to have a go.
I get the feeling, Howard, this is a really, really big outlap for the context of not just this race, not just the round, but of the season. Michael Preston has been the slightly quicker driver, has the fastest lap at the moment. Saying that was with a tow from Josh Ladd ahead of him. If Michael Preston can just keep Josh Ladd at arm's length for the next couple of laps, he's going to stand himself in a very good stead for the race victory.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, mate. It's a good point, and I agree with you how this feels like a sort of a sort of representative of the season as a whole in some ways, and could be very very consequential on it. Important to note as well that in all of that, Steve Hicks also jumped Tom Edwards in that sequence of stops. Edwards was the one who went for that early stop from third place, and it is now Hicks who inhabits third place, a second or so, nearly a couple of seconds in fact, ahead of Tom Edwards. So the undercut attempt as it was didn't quite pay off for Tom Edwards.
No, but it's got him in a decent haul of points at the moment. We've got a pit report coming in from the number 41, and it's not been a lucky week for cars with car number 41. We saw a last lap retirement for a 41 at Le Mans on Sunday, and for Craig Brown, misbehaving canines is the reason he's had to retire from this one. Never mind, Josh Ladd down the inside, going for a move into the source. Are they going to be able to get round? There's a little bit of contact, and round goes Michael Preston. And can he? Oh, he just about scrapes the pit wall there. Very robust racing between the two of them. And Josh Ladd back to the front. Well, controversial moment there. Reminders from Hockenheim when there was a battle between Michael Preston and Anwar Barul Smith. And Preston ends up facing the wrong way, Howard.
Yeah, it is a moment of controversy, though. One has to say, you know, we've seen how much racing room and respect there's been from these two throughout the evening. There's no malice in it. But, yeah, unfortunate that had to happen, and frustration indeed for Michael Preston. Because that was a dramatic moment, and we highlighted before all of that how we, you know, in many ways it feels like a key moment in this season. But, yeah, it is advantage Josh Ladd on that one.
Well, the gap is now 4.8 seconds between Josh Ladd and Michael Preston. And that's what it looks like as Ladd comes through Pouhon. And the good news for Craig Brown is after the dog issues, as he said in chat, he will be good for race 2. Here's Tom Dix. 6th place at the moment for the Jägermeister car. One of still 2 on my screen. Maybe it'll get itself fixed for race number 2. We'll wait and see. Ed Keithley's had a very good middle part of this race, Howard. He's come into this nicely. Got a bit of a gap to those behind. He's not out of the equation for a top position here, because what's the gap to Chris Hansen ahead? It's 1 second. It's 1 second up to Chris Hansen ahead. If I'm not mistaken, or am I reading the time screen? I think I'm reading the time screen.
Might be mistaken. Yeah, I think Chris Hansen a further 7 seconds up the road, indeed, by my reckoning. But nonetheless, your point stands. Your point stands. He's having a good run here, and staying within touching distance of Tom Dix ahead.
What lap time's like at the moment? 2:17.9 for Ladd, 2:23.0. Of course, that was with the spin for Michael Preston. 2:18.2, 2:18.1, 2:18.6 for Steve Hicks, Tom Edwards and Chris Hansen respectively. Mike Hart's come back into this race quite nicely as well, Howard. He's up to 8th place. Just done a 2:20.1. Now, apologies, I did not clock earlier in the race whether Mike has done a green flag pit stop or not yet. He will have come in very, very early for some damage repairs.
Did he definitely come in with those?
Yes, I think he. Well, yes, he's had a fast repair. Technically, there should be a pit stop that's not damage related, i.e., is a almost like a pit window where the drivers can come in. But never mind, that will sort itself out. We're back on board with Matt Hale, looking back at Alan Curtis. This is the squabble over 16th place. In fact, I think Matt Hale has taken that 16th place on this last lap. You can see the dot matrix, or you could see the dot matrix sign of 16 on Alan Curtis's car to indicate that's the position he was in the last time the cross start finished. That updates itself every time the cars cross the start finish line. So yeah, that must mean that Matt Hale has been able to get an overtake done here on this last lap.
Yeah, absolutely. He hasn't managed to completely drop Alan, though, on this lap. So going to be interesting to see if Alan can stay with Matt Hale, maybe look to threaten back on that position.
Here's James Fremont, number 72, and JJ Aston. So these two fighting over 12th place now. Very evenly matched drivers. Had some good fights across the course of the season. Oh, Fremont runs a little bit deep, and he's out in the marbles now through the Fania chicane, and that is Aston through.
Yep, indeed. Good opportunities in there from Aston. And yeah, Fremont gets past Aston now up into 12th place. Some good little battles happening out there. There's still the relatively close gap here between Tom Dix and Edward Keithley. And as you say, mate, Keithley having a good run here and has not allowed Tom Dix to run away from him here.
Yeah, it's just set a PB as well, 2 minutes 18.62 for Ed Keithley. Gap just outside half a second now. Can he get a whiff of that slipstream? I think he's a little bit far back actually. Tom Dix has had a good run over the top of the hill through Radion and onto the Camel Straight. Through Lakecombe into the twistier, more technical part of the circuit now, into the Brussels hairpin. This is a tricky downhill braking zone where you want to apex fairly late. That's spot on from Ed Keithley into Jack Hicks corner officially, but also known as Speaker's Corner. I'm going to test you, Howard. Why is it unofficially called Speaker's Corner?
Oh gosh. My brain has been off of, well, no, that's not fair, it was Le Mans last week. I was about to say my brain has been off of motorsport, and it's not. Speaker's Corner, I'm going to have to pass on that one, mate, at the risk of keeping us paused on air for minutes on end.
It's, I mean, for a long time it was the corner with no name.
Yeah, exactly.
Unofficially Speaker's Corner, but the reason it's called unofficially Speaker's Corner is that if you were back in the day before the days of television and all of that wonderful technology, that was the corner that you could see if you were in the old commentary box at start finish, and it was a good indicator for where people were as they were coming around halfway around the lap. So that's why it's unofficially called Speaker's Corner. Because
I feel given the role that I'm doing this evening, I feel I should have known that. Oh yeah, well that's nice.
It is true. I've stood at that corner when we went on a visit for WEC a few years ago, and it's a great spot to stand at because you really do get a sense of the scale of this circuit, and you can see all the way across and round through Blanchimont and to the start-finish line. It's a very, very impressive, good vista. I like a place with good vista, and that spot of the circuit is definitely ticking the box in that regard. Anyway, enough about topology and nice spots of the race circuit to watch from. What's going on in this race? Still Ed Keithley chasing down Tom Dix for 6th place. 4 minutes on the clock.
Absolutely. Also, this battle's still going on. I said it can be interesting to see if Alan stays with Matt Hale. He is indeed, although you'll note that race leaders are starting to come through behind, so that could be an interesting factor to come in on this one, as there's an interesting moment there as they head through, that was through the Fania chicane, wasn't it? So Alan Curtis not giving up on this one.
Josh Ladd should have a good amount of time though to make these overtakes happen cleanly. There's 5.1 seconds back to Michael Preston. He will have to get on with it though. I don't think he'll have the option of just sitting behind and letting these guys have their own final lap.
I feel like there's a few 1Xs coming in here as they get towards the end
yes.
as well, Andrew. Which, as you say, is a tactical element to iRacing. You know,
it is.
If you're confident enough that you're not going to get them through unforced error, you can technically accept them, as it were, in order to gain an advantage. As here comes Josh Ladd as race leader to put the lap on Alan Curtis, who, to be fair to him, duly gets out of the way and does not in any way put up any resistance to that.
2 laps to go. Whoa, what's happening with Josh Ladd there, though? Is he out of control? Is he having steering wheel issues? Or is he just trying to clean his tyres up, having gone off the racing line?
If it was the last of those options, that's one of the most interesting places I've ever seen anyone attempt it.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. If I was going to choose a place, it wouldn't be that.
Just see Preston behind. So yes, Matt Hale just ahead. 3 minutes were on the clock as Josh Ladd crossed the start-finish line. And lap times in the 2:17s, so that will, as I say, mean that there's 2 laps, including the one that they are on. Chris Hansen still running very nicely, Howard. Looking on for another race win in Class 2.
Yeah, let's not forget the significance that you're about to correct me, took the overall win at the previous round. Oh, what's the generating that smoke just ahead of our race leader? He's going to come here to put the lap on Matt Hale, who does a nice job of staying out of the way. But was that a moment perhaps up ahead for Adrian Mertens potentially there? It was just a bit of tyre smoke as we came into the Puan complex.
Yeah, I think it was. He's still running in 15th place. We've not talked about David Whitehouse too much in this race, but he has been out there running in 14th place at the moment. He's commentating on some Hicks racing last night. In fact, there he is in 14th place running. Oh, what's this different livery that he's running this evening? I've not seen this one before.
I'm not sure what that.
Oh, it's a Care Bears one.
It is a Care Bear one. I was about to say I'm unfamiliar with this one, and
he's ditched us. DDMM livery is not good for him. He's a grumpy bear. Well, that's very apt. Wonderful. The wonderful world of trading paints. Only here on the Legends of Club 100 BUKC iRacing Championship would you see this kind of paint job. Time is up. 40 minutes have been completed. Last lap board is out for Josh Ladd then. If he completes this lap, it will be a slightly controversial victory. With that contact with Michael Preston earlier in the race, who's still running there in 2nd place. Looks like Adrian Mertens has fallen off the lead lap. And maybe falling actually into the clutches of Matt Hale. Now, of course, we should remember the reverse grid. Ben Bennyworth will be having pole position for it, who I think has had connection issues. I think that's why he wasn't, we have not seen him register a full lap yet. Craig Brown will be 2nd, Alan Curtis 3rd, Matt Hale 4th, Adrian Mertens 5th. So I'd say, Howard, in terms of the points, it's worth Matt Hale trying to go for this if he can get through.
Yep, absolutely.
Still have a decent grid position as a result.
He has just got to within a second, but interesting factor here is Michael Preston coming up behind as well. So it's going to be an interesting judgment call for Matt Hale if he does go for the move.
6 seconds the gap between Preston and Hicks, so Preston, I would imagine, will just sit there and get to the end of the race. He won't want to risk a good haul of points as Matt Hale has a huge wide moment. Nearly clips the gravel as they come up through Stavelot, past the kart circuit. I do think fairly apt, of course, mate, because we've just had the Club 100 annual special event at PF International again this year. Great to be at PFI. Yep. I do think a lot of us are hoping that in future years we do get back to Spa and give that one another go. That's for another day, though. Josh Ladd is going to be your first race winner here at Spa this evening in the Club 100 iRacing Championship. Across start-finish he goes. Another victory for the Yas Heat pilot. 2nd place to Michael Preston. More good points for him, but maybe a little bit disappointed. He got the pit stop right, but in the end, doesn't take the race victory. Steve Hicks is going to be 3rd, Tom Edwards 4th, Chris Hansen 5th, and winning in Class 2. Tom Dix does hold on to 6th place in The overall standings 5th in Class 1 ahead of Keithley. Mike Hart is going to come over the line in 8th place. There he is. 9th will be Jack Jensen. There he is in the number 52, all white. And a good top 10 and 2nd place in Class 2 for Kirith Kalirai. A very good run, flashing the lights. Team Rock very happy with that indeed. Just about keeping that Class 2 championship bid alive there with that kind of result is Kirith. 11th will be JJ Aston. 12th, James Fremont. You can see in the background there. Christopher Bowell unfortunately faded a little bit in the second half of this race, but we'll have a good grid position for race number 2. Here he is in the distinctive red, black and blue colours that he races in his race suits with as well. One last car to come over the line on the lead lap, Howard, and it'll be this driver here in the 308, David Whitehouse, Grumpy Bear himself, with a decent haul of points as well. Adrian Mertens, Matt Hale and Alan Curtis all a lap down. Craig Brown and Ben Benny with 2 retirements. Well, there we go, Howard. We'll go into a short warm-up now, short practice session and chance for everybody to catch a breath. But a good first race there, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the main story definitely was right at the sharp end with that one, and yes, with a controversial moment, but some great battles as well within Class 2. Great to see, strong drives as well from some particular drivers out there. Chris Hansen, as you say, mate, carrying on his impressive form there as the head of the Class 2 field. Ed Keithley, as you say, as well, having a really good drive. Agree with that. And good to see battles all the way down the field. We were even, Matt Hale and Alan Curtis were having a brilliant battle down there in 16th as well. Just goes to show there's always somebody for you to race, but problems for Craig Brown and Ben Benioff as well. So there'll be ones to watch in race number 2.
And that race will be coming up shortly. 10 minutes warm-up practice session ahead of race 2. Just looking at the time, so yeah, we should be due to start that around 8:35 UK time. We'll be back shortly for more action here for round 9 of the 2021 Legends of Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Welcome back, everybody, to live coverage of round 9 of the 2021 Legends of Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. You're watching here on the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel with Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell on commentary duties for you this evening. If you're just joining us, we've had a great first race at Spa this evening with Josh Ladd taking race victory ahead of Michael Preston and Steve Hicks for the first event or first week of what kind of, let's say, after a bit of a summer break for sim racing and esports here on the channel. Just been looking at the calendar, Howard, where I've suddenly realised, oh my goodness, this is the first of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 midweek esports sim racing things in the space of 13 weeks here on the DDMM YouTube channel.
Yes. It sounds great, but it's the first time you've put it to me like that, and now it sounds like have we been too ambitious? No, it's fantastic, isn't it? Plenty of stuff to come here from us here at DDMM.
So, as I say, we've I mean, it's pretty much split straight down the middle. Half of them are the iRacing Championship here, as we're watching tonight. 2 weeks' time, we will be at Zandvoort for the next round of the championship. I'm really looking forward to. I had a drive around that in the Dallara F3 a couple of weeks ago. Now I've got to admit, I've not done that much racing around Zandvoort.
Yeah,
it's a tricky circuit to get your head around initially, but once you do, it is a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see how we're going to race around there. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that could be an interesting one. It's the Mazdas, if my memory serves correctly, for that. So we'll be returning to our rear-wheel drive mini championship within this series as well. But no, I agree, mate. It's a fun little circuit. Going to be interesting to see how we go around there. Going to be interesting to see the racing. I've driven a fair few. Have I done much racing? I've done plenty of laps around it, but maybe not so much wheel-to-wheel racing. So yeah, going to be interesting to see.
Other remaining rounds on the calendar for the 2021 iRacing Series: Suzuka, Silverstone and Interlagos. So that runs us through Suzuka in October, and then 2 weeks in a row to finish in November for Silverstone and Interlagos. But as I say, there's plenty of other things coming soon. As we've already mentioned it in the chat. Next week, next Tuesday, GT Sport, Gran Turismo Sport Championship for Club 100 drivers is back. And if I have a little flick around the phone, I will tell you what the calendar and agenda is looking like for this one. So we should be streaming Lobby A, or the Premier A one again, and we're hoping to have a guest commentator on as well for that, Mr. Luke Battersby, who's going to be helping us out for this new season. I'm going to keep padding because I'm going back through the WhatsApp chat. It's quite an active one to try and find where Mr. Dimolo's calendar is. I know next week we're at Brands Hatch, but it's going to be a similar setup to previous seasons. If you've not seen it before, do go back and have a watch of the videos here on the channel. Basically 2 races per night. I've found it finally. Oh, it's not got the circuits on it. Oh well, we'll have to come back to that one. But yeah, 2 races per night. One in a spec car, which I think is going to be the Mazda MX-5 touring car again, and then a car of manufacturer choice. I think we're going to go back with Group 4s again this year, or for this season I should say. And that will be an interesting one because the BOP's changed on Gran Turismo Sport again, so it'll all be about finding out which car's best for both fuel and tyre usage to navigate a driver's way around that season. But yet 6 rounds, so a bigger championship calendar for the GT Sport guys for this coming season, starting next week, next Tuesday, and then running every 2 weeks apart from when we get to the end, when we'll have again a double header kind of to finish off the season. So 26th of October for the penultimate round, and then the 2nd of November for the last round. As I say, make sure you subscribe to the channel because there's going to be plenty of racing for you to watch over the next few months. However, Howard, we are getting ready for race number 2. It's the reverse grid race. It's the one last year that went full Spa, and Ben Bennyworth is due to be on pole position for it.
Yeah, absolutely. The reverse grid. Ben Bennyworth and Craig Brown towards the front. And as we just look slightly further down the grid as well. 19 cars making up the grid for this one. Question is, if it was connection issues before for Ben Bennyworth, has he actually been able to take to the grid?
I think the space will be vacant for him, but it looks like we are going without him, so Craig Brown will inherit, in effect, pole position for this one, and it'll be 18 cars to run this second race here at Spa. Same number of points available within this race for the round, so this is all about, for those drivers, you know, with ambitions of winning round 9 here tonight, it's all about getting through the traffic and getting through it quickly and safely. We saw Michael Preston go pretty early, and Craig Brown has learnt from that and has gone himself. Look at the lead that he's got, Howard, over the rest of the field. Craig Brown has, what, 1.5 seconds maybe over the rest of the field, 2 seconds over the rest of the field as they come over the line to start race number 2. Now, are they all going to make it through the first couple of corners? Alan Curtis and Matt Hale have. This is good work actually from Craig Brown. Took the advantage of the dog issues earlier to get this pole position. And he's sprinting away at the front of the field, nearly 3 wide, going down. Oh, that's going to get a little bit tight. Jensen just about. Mike Hart cuts back behind Ed Keithley there. And they're all through Eau Rouge and Radion, but this is where it all got a bit interesting last year in the Masters. Are they all going to get through? It's good so far down the Kemmel Straight. Nearly a bit of contact there between Hansen and Ladd. They've got further than 2020, Howard. Oh, look at that. A round, I spoke too soon. Round goes the number 52 there of Jacques Jensen. I think he got tipped round by possibly Adrian Mertens in the mix there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at this. Still 3 wides as they head into... I called it Bruxelles, and it can also be called Rivage as well, can't it? But we're going Noah's Ark as well through Jackie Hicks, as that's a moment there for JJ Aston is round and is going to go straight to the back of the field there.
Yeah, and there was there's another driver off down through Pouon. It's not Ed Keithley. He's okay. Tom Edwards has gone wide. Who was it who span off there? Was it JJ Aston again? Oh, no, we saw JJ Aston spun round at Les Combes. Apologies. But yeah, a little bit of a chaotic first lap here in race number 2. Spa does seem to serve these up. And yeah, just looking down through the timing, it may have been James Fremont was our driver spearing off at the front of the field as they went into Pouon. On board with Michael Preston. Where is Preston up to here in the order? He's got both of the Jägermeister cars of Hicks and Dix ahead, and he's gone round the outside of one of them, and that is going to be Steve Hicks, because the 69 of Tom, in fact, he's pulled aside, he's got a slow down. Tom Dix has a slowdown there, that's why he's pulled to one side to make sure he doesn't get in other drivers' way. So end of lap 1, Craig Brown leads by 4 seconds ahead of Matt Hale, who's 3 seconds clear of Alan Curtis. Then it's Christopher Powell, David Whitehouse in top 5. Mike Hart is leading in Class 1 at the moment. Sorry, first of those coming through the field in Class 1. Craig Brown, of course, is your Class 1 leader, being at the front of the overall order. But then it's Hart in 6th, Ladd in 7th. Kirith Cali-Rice had a steady start. He's still there in the top 10 in 8th. Ed Keithley 9th, Michael Preston 10th. It's feeling a little bit fractious out there, Howard. I think folks have got the call that this is, and there's a problem there for Mike Hart. He's slow. And Kirith Cali-Rice slow as well. I think this is all slowdowns. Whoa, Tom Edwards nearly into the back of Kirith Cali-Rice there.
Yeah, it's all a bit more dramatic than race number 1, isn't it? Andrew, everyone's bedded in now. As, Mike Hart's going to have it. Oh, and is that contact further back? I just heard a bit. Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is contact.
Calleroy, Hansen and Fremont.
Yeah, and that is going to be costly for all 3 of those drivers. Calleroy most of all, because he's going to spin it on the way back onto the track. And that was a heart-in-the-mouth moment there for JJ Aston, already on the recovery. Oh, blimey, that was that was an interesting moment. But yeah, Chris Hansen, James Fremont, and Keirith Calleroy, all Class 2 runners now, Andrew, with a lot to make up here. Of course, we already had the reverse grid, which meant they were somewhat trying to work their way up the order, but it does rather give a massive opportunity to the Class 2 runners ahead of them. The likes of Matt Hale, Alan Curtis, Chris Powell and David Whitehouse are the names that really stick out to me out of that.
Yeah, it's really shaken things up in the inexperienced classes. Oh, Christopher Powell's had a huge moment and has hit Josh Ladd, has hit one of the championship contenders. Lost it on the braking into the bus stop now. Is there damage to Ladd's car? He's come back on circuit. He's had a bit of contact with Tom Dix there in the 69, but big moment here at Spa, Howard. And it just looks like Powell lost it under braking. Memories of Vincenzo Liuzzi at Monza a few years ago. And Josh Ladd had nowhere to go there. Look, the car looks okay, Howard. The car looks all right. It's not got any bent corners to force him into the pits with a meatball, but that was a big dramatic moment here in round 9.
Yeah, that Liuzzi moment from Monza that you think of, Andrew, came straight into my mind as well. There was going even further back, I want to say back in 2001 or 2, there was a similar incident up at turn 4 at well, what these days we'd call the Red Bull ring, but back then was the A1 ring. Those kind of spearing into the gravel, into the grass, heading into one of those big braking zones. And yeah, that was a big hit. I'm quite surprised that Josh Ladd is still running, as Steve Hicks gets very close to the back of us here on board with David Whitehouse. But yeah, I tell you what, that's a hardy 488 GT3 that Josh Ladd has under him. I wonder if we just go on board for a second with him. Is he even having to compensate with the steering on the straights or anything? Difficult to tell as we're coming out of Puon, but it looks pretty straight to me, Andrew. I'm really amazed by that.
Ladd down the inside of Alan Curtis there. Right. Shall we take stock, mate, of what everybody is here on lap 3? Craig Brown leads here at Spa, 7.5 seconds.
He's doing a great job, absolutely fantastic job. We just haven't had a chance to look. Here he is, there you go.
Matt Hale holds second place by 5 seconds now ahead of Michael Preston. So Michael Preston is the first of those coming from the back of the field who's made their way through. I'm not going to say fully cleanly because there's been that much door banging in this second race. There's surely at least one panel on his number 19 that's not of factory spec, shall we say. Into the pits goes Josh Ladd. Now that looks like he's going for his green flag stop early and maybe taking opportunities to get some repairs done as well. That could be a shrewd move by Josh Ladd. It's one that he's tried before. This is Mike Hart trying to go around the outside of Alan Curtis for 8th place with Jack Jensen not too far behind him. But Jack Jensen, having been round facing the wrong way at Les Combes on lap 1, is already back up into the top 10. Steve Hicks is 4th. He's got past David Whitehouse, but this is a big opportunity for David Whitehouse to get some good points, especially in Class 2, holding there in the top 5. Then a gaggle of Class 1s. Tom Edwards, Ed Keithley, the host we're watching here in the Alitalia car, Mike Hart, Jack Jensen and Alan Curtis. That takes you down to 10th. JJ Aston 11th, Tom Dix in 12th. Josh Ladd has pitted, is in 13th. Keirith Calleroy has not pitted yet, is in 14th. And then Chris Powell, James Fremont, Chris Hansen and Adrian Mertens have all had at least one pit stop so far. That is your order with 8 minutes of this race completed.
Yeah, it's a good point to mention those stops, mate, because frankly we missed them with everything that was going on. But yeah, absolutely, it's there have been some early pitters here, partially out of what should we say, force majeure circumstances for them, but also it's going to be interesting to see how that pays off from a strategic standpoint as the race unfolds.
Mike Hart's very, very keen to get past Ed Keithley here. He's gone down the inside into the Vanya chicane. That's a bit of a touring car move, door to door, pod to pod, but through goes Mike Hart into 7th place. I think it was his corner for me. He was at the inside and in control. But it does also mean that Jack Jensen has got through and into 8th.
Absolutely, yeah. Seeing the opportunity there, so costly few moments for Ed Keithley with whom we ride on board now.
What do you do here, Howard, if you're Michael Preston, Steve Hicks or Tom Edwards? Josh Ladd has pitted. He will have got a fast repair, so any damage that he did sustain in that incident with Christopher Powell has now pretty much been made negligible. For now, they're carrying on, but surely they've got to keep an eye on Josh Ladd and his pace and think about making that green flag pit stop.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm somewhat surprised. I suppose, yeah, we are 10 minutes in now. I'm somewhat surprised we haven't seen anyone try for that super early stop. Maybe just that it was so frenetic at the start that the opportunity didn't really present itself. But absolutely, you're right, mate. They've got to keep an eye now on that pace and have a think. Or maybe if it's hard to keep an eye on Josh Ladd's pace, at least to keep an eye on their own pace. Are they being held up? If they are, take the opportunity, go for the box, I'd say. Having said that, here we are with Michael Preston, who has just got past Matt Hale. We were looking at the battle there between Hart, Jensen and Keithley. But in that time, he has made some good, effective passes here. And he's now only got Craig Brown ahead of him. So maybe in the case of Michael Preston, you can see Steve Hicks now lining up Matt Hale for a move. Maybe they can make their way through the field, quickly enough, Andrew, that they're gonna negate any issues with Josh Ladd putting in the pace towards the back of the field. And it's worth saying as well that Josh Ladd wasn't by himself in pitting as well, although he is the highest place of those pitters. But it's not that he's completely without traffic. Indeed, he's just, I can see on timing, let's cut to him, he's just got past JJ Aston here. So it's not like Josh Ladd is hot lapping at the back.
Yeah. And
all the other guys are having to work their way through traffic. They've just cleared that traffic, and Josh Ladd hasn't yet had a really clean bit of air to run in. So I'm surprised that we've seen no one do it, but at the same time, maybe when all things have worked themselves out in the wash, it won't actually have made that much difference. But definitely want to keep an eye on.
Definitely are going to keep an eye on it. Tom Dix in the number 69 is up ahead of Josh Ladd, and is a driver with good pace. That's a bit of good news for Josh Ladd if he's going to come back into this race, having won the first run so far this evening. Here's Steve Hicks in 3rd place. Training Paints not agreeing with us tonight, because as nice as the classic Porsche Jägermeister livery is, he has got a 1998 Jordan Mugen Honda tribute at his end of things. I have seen it in the organisational chat. Steve Hicks, our chief organiser of the competition.
If he crashes with a Red Bull liveried car, does it make a Jaeger bomb?
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Not just the analogy. Anyway, moving on swiftly.
We don't have any, so we can't run that experiment. And at his end, it'll mean nothing because he's driving around in a Jordan. But, the thought's there.
Let's have a look at the pace. 2:18.28 for Preston last time around. 2:18.85 for Hicks. Josh Ladd, even though he was overtaking people, 2:17.8. For me, Howard, I think you've got to make the pit stop if you're Preston or Hicks. Track position is going to be so key in this race, and there's an opportunity to get in and out. And whoa, Ed Keithley, what's happening there? Through Pouon, what a save! What a save that is from Ed Keithley. He's going to maybe lose a position to David Whitehouse, but that could have been considerably worse.
Well, I thought we were going to... Oh, and Jack Jensen's gone round as well.
He has indeed.
How odd. These drivers are pushing hard out there at the moment. But yeah, a candidate for save of the season there from Edward Keithley. That was fantastic stuff through Pouhon.
It just looked like he maybe downshifted and locked the rear axle slightly into Pouhon. Got all over the curb on the inside and held it all the way through one of the fastest corners on this circuit. Not the fastest, because here comes the fastest, Blanchimont. And Ed Keithley now trying to get past David Whitehouse. This is over 7th place. Tom Edwards is in. Tom Edwards is in. Maybe he's listening to us and has taken the thought of getting in the pits now. Ed Keithley is also coming in. Now this, they kind of stop here for Keithley. That will help Josh Ladd, because I don't think Keithley will be able to keep himself out in front of Josh Ladd. This is going to be a good indicator though. Where is Tom Edwards going to come out in relation to the number 12, which is the top car to have already pitted in this race? Mandatory stop done for Edwards and his number 58. There is Josh Ladd, and he's got him.
He's got him.
And looks to me, Howard, that he's got him by quite a margin as well. Yeah. 2:17.8 last time around for Josh Ladd. You've got to pit. You've got to pit if you're Michael Preston on this lap, because the pace, he's used this situation very, very nicely, has Josh Ladd. Has taken advantage of the fast repair, got a fast car underneath him. We've mentioned that pretty much everybody out there has got some form of damage and is now just eating into the advantage of those at the front of the field yet to stop.
Yep, absolutely. I'll make it 4 seconds there that Josh Ladd has over Tom Edwards.
Yep.
I'm just trying to think where the likes of Steve Hicks and Michael Preston were in relation to Tom Edwards before he made that stop. They're definitely in that danger zone, aren't they?
They are. It was maybe a couple of seconds, maybe 3.
There are good battles going on, by the way.
Yeah, JJ Aston and Chris Hansen. They have made their pit stops. Well, so much has happened in this second race of the evening, and we're not even halfway through it yet. Hope you're enjoying the coverage here from DDMM. More of this to come. 4 more rounds of this 2021 Legends of Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship to come, and one of our, well, at least one of our special events to come on the channel, maybe 2. We've got the V8 Supercars visit to Bathurst coming up later in the autumn, and still the Pro-Am Le Mans Endurance race to run as well. More details to come for that one, and the 6 rounds of the new autumn Club 100 Gran Turismo Sports season to come.
Just to say, Andrew, both Preston and Hicks have gone round again. Here's Alan Curtis, but they elected to go round again on that lap. So they're sticking to their guns at the moment.
Preston is into the 2:17s, and so is on Josh Ladd's pace. There he is. The gap is 33 seconds between Michael Preston and Josh Ladd here. Steve Hicks still running there in 3rd. We should say as well, Howard, not just the sim racing coming up as we go into the autumn, but plenty of Club 100 sprints action as well. So you can catch all of that on the Alpha Live channel, and maybe, if internet and 4G allows, we'll have a bit more Comms Cam after the debut of Comms Cam at the British 24 Hour, which I know some of you enjoyed. I'm not quite sure why.
Pleased. I was going to say, I can't tell you how pleased the viewing public must have been that you chose to debut that when I wasn't there. That must have been... You did a favour to the nation.
Stop it. Tom Dix here has been overtaken by Josh Ladd, I think on the previous lap to the one that they're on at the moment. But both of their pace is pretty good at the moment at this time. Tom Dix has not stopped yet. Preston goes round again.
As does Hicks. Should say as well, in Class 2, Andrew, Matt Hale, who, of course, for a long time has been the highest running Class 2 runner in this race, has also elected not to pit yet.
Yeah, I like that from Matt. I say the Class 1s to the Class 2s, that they've got different situations to run with. I think for Matt, take advantage of the track position, keep yourself up at the front for as long as possible and in clean air. Less risk of tripping over another vehicle. And this is good stuff. It's always what Class 2 or this kind of class in any form of racing is about, is taking the opportunities when they come to you. And so far Matt Hale's doing that very, very nicely. Just see David Whitehouse and Jack Jensen in the background there. A new fastest lap of the race has just gone in from Josh Ladd, 2:17.58. That was 3/10 that he took out of Michael Preston last time around.
Yeah, they've got to be thinking about the pit stop, haven't they, at the front? Should acknowledge as well, Craig Brown still at the front of this one, Andrew.
Yeah, he's doing a very nice job. 2:18.8 last time around for number 41. Fingers crossed, no more dramas for cars with number 41. Retirement in the first race this evening. David Whitehouse a little bit wide through Pouhon, trying to keep the speed through corner entry. He's going to be wide. Jack Jensen's going to go to the outside into the Fania chicane. Can Whitehouse defend? Yes, he can. Very nicely done from David Whitehouse. Holds on to 6th place and 2nd in Class 2.
Well, if Jacques is anything like myself when it comes to driving, he did have a moment earlier on in the Fania chicane, so maybe not the corner where he's being the boldest around the circuit. I know I'm certainly like that. If I've had an incident at a corner, I tend to give it a little bit more of a sheepish line, but will he have the opportunity down into the bus stop chicane? He certainly had a good run through Blanchimont. Goes very wide on the exit, but keeps his foot in. But I think that may have just deterred him from going for the move into the bus stop. Trying to switch back.
Sorry, Howard. Sorry for cutting across you. Mike Hart is in. Mike Hart is in the pit lane from 4th place. So this is going to be your next indicator then as to where Josh Ladd's already gone through. He's already gone through and up into 7th place now. Tom Dix passes as well, but he has yet to stop. Tom Edwards has taken a position away from Mike Hart there. So Tom Edwards, that's the thing, we've got to keep an eye on Tom Edwards as well for the podium places, because he's going along very nicely in the 218s.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He did lose out to Josh Ladd in his stop, but he has effectively gone for an undercut on the likes of Preston and Hicks potentially, hasn't he? So he's also benefiting from this at the moment. So absolutely, mate, we've got to keep an eye on there.
David Whitehouse still holding Jack Jensen off here. There's a little bit of an off track there coming through Jackie Hicks' corner. And looking down the inside, contact. There's contact there between Jensen and Whitehouse, and Whitehouse is going to go around and think Jack Jensen is going to let him go again. So that's good sportsmanship, recognising the error. But here comes Josh Ladd. Had a little bit of a wobble there as he came across both of them and has run off. Has he come back on? Is he out of control? My goodness, that was a big moment for Josh Ladd out of Pouhon. I think that was a code brown. I think that was a big code brown for Josh Ladd.
I'm not going to lie. I was going to leave everybody to do their own jokes on that one. But yes, that was quite a moment through Pouhon there for Josh Ladd. Definitely. Behind though, look at this. Tom Dix has now suddenly got his view full of Jacques Jensen and the Angry Care Bear special.
I can see what Jensen was trying to do there. He was just trying to make sure that he didn't take position advantage from the contact with Whitehouse. Whitehouse is in. That's quite a sensible decision for me.
Yeah.
In amongst a bunch of cars, get it in, get the pit stop done, get back out in fresh air. Tom Dix then up to 5th place.
Craig Brown as well.
Yes.
Out from his stop, Andrew. So race leader there, and crucially, behind Josh Ladd now after that first stop.
And that is not good news for Michael Preston and Steve Hicks, because if Craig Brown has done a pit stop, has run a complete, it's probably the only car in the race that has got every panel still straightened as it came out of Maranello. If he has not been able to keep Josh Ladd behind, I don't think there's any chance that Preston and Hicks are going to be able to hold on to their positions. So in effect, Josh Ladd is your race leader.
Yeah, agreed there, Andrew. The writing is very much now on the wall for Preston and Hicks. There's some 30 seconds down the road, but by absolutely every piece of evidence we've got here, and I mean that's even with the moment that Josh Ladd had on the previous lap, albeit he didn't seem to lose that much time from the heart in the mouth moment. He just sort of took it in his stride and carried on. But in fact, at this point, wasn't it, about a lap ago?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see where Michael Preston and Steve Hicks slot into all of this, actually, because it's not like Josh Ladd is far out front, is he? You know, we've mentioned Tom Dix, Tom Edwards. This is going to be an interesting. Excuse me, Tom Dix does still owe us a stop, doesn't he? But Tom Edwards definitely is going to be an interesting one to watch. Currently in 6th place.
Leaders are
now
in.
Now they're in the pits.
So Preston and Hicks come in. Preston had set a new personal best on the last complete tour of the circuit.
Here we go, you can see your driver tracker. And we will expect Josh Ladd to come through and take the spot. Michael Preston is back underway though.
Well, it's going to be close, but I think Josh Ladd is going to have this round La Source to take the lead of the race. Is he not? No, he's not! No, he has not. So, maybe Craig Brown had race damage. Or
Maybe
he's taken tyres again.
Slow down or anything.
Yeah. But that is a surprise. Michael Preston has been able to hold on to the lead. Has pushed really, really hard on the last couple of laps of that first into the race and has emerged in first. 1.36 seconds ahead of Josh Ladd. Craig Brown still there in 3rd. 4th for Steve Hicks. And now the race is on, Howard. This really, really is on, and there's some big results on the plate here for all of these drivers at the front of the field. Craig Brown, I'm trying to think now what his best results so far is this season. I don't think he's had a podium, but he's run a little bit deep there. Through Rivage. This is pressure now from the tenacious racer that is Steve Hicks. Into Pouhon they go. Tom Edwards, just to mention his strategy for the race. So it really is, in fact, everyone has now stopped. Everyone has now stopped out. So it's Preston, Ladd, Brown, Hicks, Edwards. That's the top 5. Hart and Keithley, those are the group of Class 1s at the front of the field. Matt Hale leads in Class 2. Tom Dix and Christopher Powell wrapping out the top 10. Powell 2nd in Class 2. He was there earlier in race number 1. Can he close it out with 12 minutes to go?
I'm genuinely quite impressed by how Michael Preston's been able to do that. Maybe there was a drum that befell Craig Brown's race there, Andrew, just before his pit stop, because otherwise that all looked fairly, you know, on paper that looked like it was Josh Ladd's to take the lead of.
Yeah.
just goes to show how right we always are in our comps position here, Andrew.
Absolutely. We know what we're talking about. Steve Hicks is looking down the inside of Craig Brown here into La Source. Good defence there from Craig Brown. Carried good speed into the corner, left a little bit of space, but not so much space that Steve Hicks chucked it down the inside. Here's Kirith Kalirai in 17th place in the Team Rock entry, trying to get past Alan Curtis here. This is after the damage earlier for Kirith. It's just not quite worked out. I think he's got straight line speed issues there. He should be able to draw alongside the D&D wildcard entry, but is not quite able to do so at the moment. Great shot there going through the entry to bus stop. Down the inside goes Callie Ryan. I think he got the move done. Still.
Yes, he did. Sorry,
yeah.
There's too much going on here, Andrew.
TV Mixed is having a really, really tough time tonight. Still, Craig Brown holds ahead of Steve Hicks. I'm going to say it. I think this, irrespective of the result, this is Craig Brown's best race so far this season.
Agreed.
This is a really, really good run. Was involved in the practice session on Monday night, which didn't have that many cars in, if I'm being honest. Didn't give many selections for the cover photo, but Craig was one of them. And that practice has clearly been put to good use. So there you go, drivers. Make sure that you do the official practice sessions, because then you can put in performances like this. 10 minutes to go here at Spa. Round 9 of the 2021 Legends of Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship here, exclusively on the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel. We've got a great race on here. Michael Preston and Josh Ladd going for the race victory and the round victory. Craig Brown and Steve Hicks fighting here over third. Is there a move on into the bus stop? Brown runs a little bit wide, but once again just has got really, really good cornering speed in the 41, and Steve Hicks cannot, Howard, find a way underneath and get the move done in the braking zone.
No, this is brilliant stuff from Craig Brown, as you've been saying, Andrew. I'm very, very impressed with this at the moment. Yeah, his second race, I don't want to take away from the first race, but it really has come alive as Craig Brown is wide out of La Source. And is that going to be the opportunity that Steve Hicks needs going down towards Eau Rouge? Craig Brown is still going to have the inside. In fact, he manages to cut in front. Brilliant judgment and awareness of where the car is around him to be able to come across and block that move off. But Hicks is still going to be in his wheel tracks here, down the Kemmel straight, heading towards Licom.
He is indeed. Craig Brown goes defensive to the right-hand side. We've seen quite a few drivers do this so far this evening. Can Hicks find a route round the outside? Oh my goodness, the cameras are clashing with one another, and still Brown holds third place. I tell you who's licking their lips at this, Howard. Tom Edwards. He is closing in there in 5th place. 1.9 seconds is the gap. In fact, I think it's that's less than 1.9 now. It is tumbling down.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look at this into Jackie Hicks' corner. That's going to be a very unusual place if he can make it stick, and he can't make it stick. But Craig Brown's going to run out wide. Got to be a little bit careful about that, as you say, Andrew. Tom Edwards coming into play now behind as well. This is brilliant stuff round Spa-Francorchamps from these two drivers, and it's soon to be 3 the way they're going at the moment. We are keeping tabs on the gap at the front as well, but at the moment, Michael Preston, having been able to take the lead of this one off the back of that sequence of pit stops, is able to keep Josh Ladd at arm's length at the moment. 1.4 seconds is the gap. There are some other good battles going out there. I'm keeping tabs. In fact, let's have a quick look here. Chris Powell chasing Jack Jensen. That's over 10th place. And good little battle going on as well. Behind them, you can see just in the background there, David Whitehouse with James Fremont and Chris Hansen. Some good, important battles here going on in Class 2, though it is still Matt Hale who heads up the Class 2 standings. But we cut back to this, Andrew, which for me has been the battle of the evening so far, and one of the battles of this Legend season so far. This is brilliant stuff.
The sun coming out as well, the clouds breaking here in Belgium. So the track temperature will be starting to creep up now. That will mean tyres will be a factor in the last 7 or 8 minutes or so in this race. Brown goes slightly deep into La Source again. They're going to be side by side off of La Source once more. This is where, oh my goodness, this is where Perez and Ocon had collisions in the racing points a few years ago. Is Hicks going to try and do a Mark Webber around the outside through Eau Rouge and Radion? They're still side by side. Incredible racing here at Spa, and here comes Tom Edwards. Surely he's not going to make it 3 wide. Oh, Tom Edwards has had a massive moment. He's in the wall. He spins out on the Kemmel straight out of 5th place. Here comes Mike Hart. He's going to take a spot in the top 5 now. You just do not know where to look in this race. Still, Craig Brown leads this battle for 3rd.
Well, if there's one we always look to tick off if we know we've had a fun visit to Spa, it's the phrase side by side through Eau Rouge, and that was absolutely fantastic stuff there. And still, Craig Brown is holding off this attack from Steve Hicks. This is brilliant, brilliant stuff here. You said that he might be the only one with the paddle bent coming out of Maranello. I'm not sure if that's still going to be true by the end of this one, but he's still hanging on round the outside of Pouon. This is a fantastic, fantastic effort from Craig Brown here, holding on to this podium position with 5.5 minutes of this one left to go. Tom Edwards has got underway again, by the way.
Yeah.
Running in 6th, although a little worse for wear. Yeah.
I just wonder whether because he had a huge run off of Radion, whether he just got caught up in the rear diffuser of Brown, lifted off, had a bit of yaw, and then that was induced into lift-off oversteer, and that's why he span round. But never mind that for now. It's for such a high-speed wide track, this is a remarkable job that Craig Brown's doing. You would think this is Monaco, the way he's being able to just hold Steve Hicks there in 4th place. Gets a little bit sideways through the bus stop, but gets good drive. This is the thing for Craig Brown. He keeps getting really good drive off all of the traction zones here, and that's what's defending him in that 3rd place. Through La Source they go. 5 minutes on the clock. You've got to give Steve Hicks a lot of credit here as well, Howard.
Yeah.
Lesser drivers would have punted Brown off by this stage.
Yep. No, it's a
but
very
he wants
fair
to make
point.
sure that this move is fully clean. Through Eau Rouge and Radion they go again. Surely Hicks is going to have a chance. He may have to do the round the outside job, which we saw Josh Ladd do in race 1. To the inside goes Craig Brown. That's his one defensive move. He can't make another. Can Hicks get alongside and be late on the brakes? No, he can't. And once again, Craig Brown holds position and holds his spot on the podium.
I'm running out of superlatives for this battle, mate. It's just so entertaining. But is there an opportunity? No, brilliant covering off from Craig Brown there. He really is. I have to say, you're absolutely right with what you just said about Hicks there, Andrew. You know, lesser drivers would have made contact. Got to say as well, though, Craig knows absolutely when he's got the clearance ahead of Hicks to cut across and cover him off. It's brilliantly done. See, a lesser driver at this point would have taken themselves out on Hicks's nose. You know, it's brilliant awareness from both of these drivers to not be coming to blows here. And, you know, these kind of battles, they're the ones as well where you want them to be resolved cleanly. You know, Hicks doesn't want to do this in a, you know, we saw obviously the moment between Josh Ladd and Michael Preston in the previous race. Josh Ladd didn't want it to go that way. It's exactly the same emotions here. When you're in a great battle such as this, you always want it to end, no matter how it does end in terms of who's the main, you know, the victor in it. You still want this to end in a clean way, and this is brilliant driving. This
is reminding me quite a lot of, I would say, we've seen Craig be able to do this before. I remember a sprints battle that he had with another Brown, Steve Brown, at Wilton Mill a few years ago, when Craig was still a Class 2 driver that particular season. He was able to hold Steve off for quite a while. In fact, Steve was full of praise for Craig's racecraft on one of his YouTube videos afterwards. In the end, it was Steve who took the victory in that one. But this is, as I say, to see those skills translating now to the sim world for Craig after a difficult season at points so far, this is really encouraging to see. And he's just got 2 more minutes to, in fact, this may be the last lap. I'm just trying to see what the gap is. Well, the 9 seconds. Oh, there's chaos here through, and Tom Dix is involved, Tom Edwards as well. So he's at the bus stop, and I think Edwards is going to have to go into the pit lane. Yes, he is. And is that a third visit to the pit? Yes, it is. A third visit to the pits for Tom Edwards because he'd got his bonnet back. So he'd repaired it. And this time Hicks is down the inside. He's got him. No, he hasn't. He's run wide. He's run wide and through the grass there. But, oh, there's contact now with Brown. Sorry, that was Brown going across the Fania chicane grass. And this time it does look like Steve Hicks has got through.
Yeah.
Brown a little bit late on the brakes on the inside. He fought it hard. It was a valiant effort. Apologies, I got my drivers mixed up there. But at long last, Steve Hicks has got that third place.
Yeah, absolutely. And in classic fashion, several other battles are kicking off at exactly the same time, and I can't keep up. This is Tom Edwards now versus Kirith Kalirai. Tom Edwards on the recovery. He'll have just emerged after his second stop to deal with that damage. I'm not sure who was involved in that incident. It was him, Tom Dix, and Edward
possibly
Keithley
Chris Powell as well.
Yeah,
Chris Powell's out.
Yes, good point. Good point. Or well, he's circulating. He's not out, but he's come out of the pits here. So drama aplenty here throughout the whole field. But yeah, that's not how we would have wanted it to end between Steve Hicks and Craig Brown. But it was into Lecom. He just he just ran out of room to brake and slow the car down, didn't he? And he just went straight on.
Is Michael Preston going to trigger a last lap here? Because time is about to expire. There it is. Michael Preston. It's going to be a tie on point. No, he's gone around again. He's gone round again. So this will be the final lap then, in what has been a really dramatic race here tonight at Spa. And at the moment, Howard, well, we're going to have to get the fastest laps out. It's going to be provisional with a capital P to tick that one off the DDMM bingo list, because as things stand, Preston and Ladd are going to be equal on points, surely, because they're both going to have a first and a second place. So it's going to come down to tiebreakers and fastest laps and all of that business. There is Tom Edwards. It's really all gone wrong for him in this one, in 14th place, trying to find a way past JJ Aston. Matt Hale still leads, by the way, in Class 2. What a result that could be.
Yeah,
Chris
absolutely.
Hansen was recovered to second, then David Whitehouse in third. And in fact, that final spot on the podium, there's the very enthusiastic flagman telling everybody that it is now the final lap. James Fremont and David Whitehouse are battling here over a spot on the Class 2 podium in this race.
I'm going to throw this one out here, and I don't think it's going to be up for dispute, mate. Best of the longer length races we've had this season.
Yes.
This one, hands down. It's been. I don't quite know what we put in the tea ahead of this one, but it's been quite incredible.
JJ Aston trying to fight back on Tom Edwards here. Look at the ferocity of this fight. This is over 13th place, ladies and gentlemen. This is the spirit of Club 100 drivers, as JJ Aston holds ahead of Kirith Kalirai there. If you're enjoying this racing, if you want to see these drivers in action in the flesh, a few weeks' time we'll be down at Bayford Meadows for the next round of the Club 100 Sprint Series. So that's Sunday the 12th of September. But here comes Michael Preston across the finish line. He takes the race win. Now we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen in terms of, in fact, Josh Ladd is slow. Has he nearly run out of fuel? I think he did nearly run out of fuel there, because he was crawling to the line. Steve Hicks is going to take third. A brilliant fourth place from Craig Brown ahead of Mike Hart. Fantastically played throughout the whole race as the post-race celebrations begin. We'll cut to them in a moment. Here comes Ed Keithley, who for me, Howard, has had another really solid night. He's going to finish this race in 6th place as long as he can get round the bus stop. Can be very pleased with his efforts this evening.
Yeah.
And he's clearly had a little bit of encouragement on the rear axle there. But Keithley in the 99 gets 6th, 7th for Tom Dix, 8th for Jack Jensen. But what a result this is. In 9th place, he's just got to hold on. Matt Hale wins in Class 2 in race number 2. Top 10 for Chris Hansen. Who's going to take third in Class 2? It's going to be David Whitehouse. No disappointment this time like he'd had at Montreal. It's a podium in Race 2 in class for David Whitehouse. 12th for Tom Edwards. 13th for James Fremont. 14th for JJ Aston. 15th for Kirith Kalirai. 16th will be Alan Curtis. Here he's over the line, and rotten luck. We didn't see what happened to Chris Powell late on, but he is going to be in 17th place. He deserves more than that for me, Howard, but gets to the end of the race nonetheless. And then one retirement in that race, Adrian Mertens on lap 1. Ben Bennyworth was a did not start. And breathe. Wow. Sum that race up for me, Howard. That was quite something.
I'm not sure I can. Do you know, it's interesting, isn't it? I feel like every time we do a round of this, Andrew, I feel like at the end of the event, I feel like declaring it the best round that we've had.
Yeah.
You know, there's a real pattern and quality to what we're seeing this season. But what an entertaining night that was. The first race was perhaps a bit more about the tactics. And of course we had the drama up at the sharp end. That second race just went bombastic throughout the whole field, and there was tactics aplenty in that one as well. You know what was going to pay off. We all thought that Michael Preston was painting himself into a corner on strategy. Then he came out of the pits in the lead, so that was the story there. The defensive driving of the season. I seem to recall we also saw an amazing defensive drive, some brilliant defensive driving back at Catalonia earlier in the season. But the judgment that Craig Brown was showing in that battle with Steve Hicks, and the racing room that Steve Hicks was giving him, one of the battles of the season, no doubt about it. And then in Class 2, some brilliant battles, some dramas early on. Let's not forget what happened at Jackie Hicks' corner to a few of those runners early on. The likes of, was it Fremont, Kalirai, and who else was involved in that? Was it Chris Hansen? It was, wasn't it? So some big hits there. Great recovery from Chris Hansen, therefore, to get himself back up into the top 10. But congratulations to Matt. I have to say, Matt Hale and David Whitehouse, both on the Class 2 podium for that second race, just goes to show, you know, they were there on merit. I know there were some incidents for some of their classmates, but, you know, Chris Hansen getting back up onto that podium just goes to show that there was time for them to recover. So Matt Hale and David Whitehouse definitely there on merit, and fair play to them, two drivers who have come a huge way in this championship. So brilliant race, brilliant evenings racing, and thoroughly enjoyed that one, mate. It's Spa, isn't it? Spa delivers.
I think it's got to be an ever-present now on the calendar for future years. One thing to note, though, you can see the feature results on your screen. I think there has been, and I'm guessing it's for a corner cut and then maybe not taking the slow down. We'll have to investigate why, but Craig Brown is showing in 8th place. So it looks like some form of 30-second penalty or so. We'll have to see what's happened there. I may put my fist down and go, no, I disagree with the iRacing stewards. Put that back, but we'll see what it was for before we make that decision. We're just going to hang around for a little bit, mate, just to see if we can get the race, the round result in. I'm sure Mr. Hicks will be furiously calculating the points here for the racing at Spa. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you're watching and you've not subscribed to the channel yet, please consider clicking that subscribe button. It really does help us out when people do that. And then just as a reminder of things coming up, we've gone through the sim racing stuff, but we have got DDMM commentary up at Shennington this weekend for the finale of the Super 1 series for 2021. You can watch the coverage over on the Alpha Live YouTube channel on Sunday all day, and really looking forward to that because it's been a fantastic season in Super 1 so far. And as a finale holder, Shennington did a pretty good job in 2020. So as I say, Sunday on the Alpha Live YouTube channel, Super 1 Series, the last round of their 2021 season from just up the road here from DDMM HQ at Shennington. Craig's just dropped us a message in the chat. Enjoy that one. Glad Steve didn't get too much damage. Yeah, there was a tiny bit of contact, I think, towards the end of that. In fact, let's see if I can go to the holding screen. Howard, are you still with us, by the way?
I am, yes, indeed.
Yes, mate. I'm just going to fiddle with this. In fact, 1 second, everybody.
Thanks for giving me warning.
Thankfully, I've not turned you to a scene that's turned the Discord audio off. Let's do that. That's a bit more interesting for you folks to look at. We'll also try and find what happened at the end here between that battle for third. But Howard, whilst we're looking at events coming up, we've not really had a talk on this channel. Rye House was a few weeks ago for Club 100 Sprints.
Yes.
How did you find it?
It was really a really enjoyable day, as ever, with the Club 100 Sprints. I think we saw some, for me, no disrespect to any of the heavyweights. The lightweights, I think, were the real highlight for me there. The A-Fine and the lightweights delivering, not for the first time this season, a really good run. The heavyweights, they can struggle a bit around Rye House. I think it's still a very entertaining watch if you want to go back and watch all of the day's action from Rye House. But yeah, going to be an interesting one. You're sort of queuing me up for a segue there into the fact that we're just about 2.5 weeks away from our next streamed Club 100 round, which will be Bayford Meadows, unless I'm very much mistaken. I think there will be a bit of eyes on the heavyweights just to maybe have a slightly cleaner run with the racing, but nevertheless it was really a really entertaining day, and yeah, challenging racing around Rye House always to set up the overtakes, but the Club 100 field find a way no matter what. And yeah, do be, if you haven't seen that, do be certain to go back to that on Alpha Live, the Alpha Live YouTube channel. Our partners over there, who captured it all for you to enjoy at your leisure. And yeah, going to be interesting to see how things play out at Bayford Meadows in a couple of weeks' time.
I found the points. So this was the key move for third place. It was Hicks to the outside, and did get his nose ahead. Yeah, Craig just braked a little bit late, and in fact that was quite reminiscent of 1995 between Michael Schumacher and Damon Hill, to throw that one in there. Talking to Michael Schumacher, on a complete aside, saw the trailer today for the Netflix documentary on Michael Schumacher's life and his career. That looks very good. That looks very good indeed. We continue to pad here, just whilst we await a result from Steve. And I think we have a result indeed. The winner of round number 9 is Michael Preston. Michael Preston takes 200 points from the racers ahead of 198, so as a result of being on pole position. Steve Hicks third, Ed Keithley fourth. He said he had a solid night. 5th place for Mike Hart, 6th for Tom Dix, 7th for Chris Hansen, so Chris Hansen is your top C2. Jack Jensen 8th, Tom Edwards 9th, David Whitehouse 10th and 2nd in Class 2, which I think is a really well-deserved result. I was really disappointed with the last time we saw these cars, which was at Montreal, and he had a problem right at the end of the race, which put him out. So to see him get that result, that's really good to see. Just to run through the rest of your results: 11th for JJ Aston, 12th for James Fremont, 13th for Kirith Kalirai, Matt Hale 14th, Craig Brown 15th, Chris Powell 16th, 17th, Adrian Mertens and Alan Curtis 18th. Right, well, I think it's time to wrap up, isn't it, mate? We've had a fantastic night here at Spa for round 9 of the Legends of Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Any last words?
Only to say that, and we'll queue this up for definite for everyone to see ahead of the round, the next time we're out in the GT the GT3s. But if my maths is correct off of that round result, that means that we do go into the final round of this mini-series with 1 point separating Josh Ladd and Michael Preston at the head of this one. So that's my quick maths. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, this is going to... As if this season hasn't been entertaining enough, we've got some championships to decide over the next few rounds as well. So yeah, this one's going to be tasty. Make sure you join us for that.
Well, 2 weeks' time for the next round of this championship. We'll be at Zandvoort. We'll be back in the Mazda MX-5. Don't forget, Tuesday night next week as well, we will have the first round of a new season in the Club 100 Gran Turismo Sports Series. But for now, here on the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel, my name's been Andrew Mather. He's been Howard Mitchell. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time for more racing here on DDMM.